and thank you for being here. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding immigration attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Thank you for tuning in today to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today we're going to be talking about where ICE can do a raid. All right, where ICE can do a raid and what to do about it. How do you prepare for that, just in case it were to happen, right? And so thank you for tuning in and welcome. And I really appreciate each of you for tuning in today. It's like the day after New Year's, so Happy New Year, everybody. It is 2025. Hope everybody enjoyed their New Year festivities. Hope everybody got to take some time off and really able to connect with clients, able to connect with family and friends, etc. And so, yeah, Happy New Year for everybody. And so, welcome. Thank you for being here right now. Remember that the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration law and to make the most out of their lives. Okay? And so today our theme is where can ICE do a raid and what to do about it? Okay? And my question for everybody is, hey, do you want to get a green card? Do you want to come out of the shadows? Do you want to see at least what your immigration options are? Do you want to do something to have a backup plan or have a strategy in place just in case immigration were to, actually come and knock on your door, etc.? If you've got any of those situations, I'd love to help you with that. Okay, my firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases by 2035. We would love for your case to be one of them. And so thanks for everybody for being here. As I go through my topic today, if you have questions, please feel free to submit your questions. I'll do my best to answer them here live. And let's go. All right. So again, Happy New Year. Mike Johnson, I see you there. Happy New Year to you. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Luis Sanchez, I see you here on Instagram. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. Some folks here on TikTok, Taki and Clara and Cristiano and Fernie and EZ from. I can't see the whole name, but hello, everybody tuning in here on TikTok. Hello and welcome. Everybody on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Thank you all so much. Welcome. Happy New Year to you. And thanks for joining me right now on the Empowered Immigrant Live. Okay? So the news, we're in 2025. This is my first episode of the new year. And so thanks for tuning in for that. In just a couple of weeks, Donald T. Rump is entering the White House again, which is bad news for immigrants, bad news for immigration lawyers, because, his administration and ICE, Tom Homan, who will become the director of the border czar and mass deportation efforts, they're talking about mass deportation, and there's rumors that some of this will include reinstituting ICE raids. And so that's why it's important to have this conversation. Like, you got to be ready, right? You got to be ready. And so let's talk it through. So my topic is, where could ICE do a raid? Okay, where can they do that? Can they just go anywhere and just start rounding up people? Well, here's the way it works, right? ICE, immigration officers, just like police officers, just like law enforcement of any kind, they can basically go anywhere that the general public is allowed to go. Okay? So they can go to schools or hospitals or courthouses or places of worship or your job, your workplace, right? Or to the local grocery store, right? A few years back, there actually were ICE officers checking papers outside of a local grocery store. Pissed me off, actually, if you want to know, because people need to buy food, right? But I think it pissed that store off too because they lost a lot of business, and so everybody went to a different place. So you got to be anyway. But that's the reality. ICE officers can go anywhere that the general public can go. They don't need a warrant to do that, right? If the general public can enter into a place, so can they. Okay? But the question then becomes, well, what about places that are not public? What about places that are blocked off? Like the public just can't come walk into your living room, right? There is still private property. Like if you have your house, for example, is a perfect example to discuss because you have privacy rights also, all right? And so if there's a place that truly is blocked off from the public, like your home, or like certain businesses too, like a private, I don't know, a private lab or something like that, where the public doesn't have access to it, like ICE and other law enforcement officers, they can't just like walk in wherever they want to. In those situations, ICE needs either, one, your consent, or two, they need a warrant. Okay? Now, this is why, consent or warrant, this is why if you're in your house, you should never open the door. All right? Because opening the door can be interpreted as consenting, right? Consenting, being in agreement that they enter. And this is also why people should be used to clearly saying, I do not consent to this search. Like people should, this is constitutional law. Everybody has the constitutional right to say those words. I do not consent to this search, right? If they're entering a place, if they're searching for someone in a place that's not public, then somebody should tell them, hey, I do not consent, like the owner, or the boss or the employer, or whoever it is, the person that has rights that are at stake in that search should say clearly, I do not consent to this search. Okay? And that's what you got to know. And so what if you're in what if you're at your job? What if you're in a grocery store? What if you're at a local place and ICE shows up? Like, what do you do? Let me give you 4 things, all right? Let me give you 4 things that everybody should just know about, okay? First of all, my advice is do not panic and run, okay? Do not panic and run. Running can be treated by ICE, by immigration, as quote-unquote reasonable suspicion that you're in the U.S. in violation of the law. Like it's so much better to just stay where you are, stay calm, look them in the eye, don't try to hide anything, right? And just be like, yo, what are you doing here, right? So don't panic and don't run. That's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is remain silent, right? If ICE asks you for your name or for your papers, right? Just be polite and say, hey, I'm sorry, officer, I prefer to remain silent. If ICE asks you, hey, are you a citizen? Or where are you from? Nice to meet you, officer. I'm sorry, I prefer to remain silent. Right? That's the best thing to say. Third, if they start to search anything, right? If they start to like pat you down or something, hey, we're gonna search you, you can say loudly, and everybody should practice saying this statement, say, I do not consent to this search. Okay? If they're like want to look in your trunk or something, if they want to like look in your car, if they want to look at anything that they're looking at, you have the right to say those words, I do not consent to this search. And then the 4th piece of advice, all right, first, don't panic and run. Second, remain silent, because everybody has the constitutional right to remain silent, all right? And everybody should remain silent, all right? Third, say loudly, clearly, I do not consent to this search. And fourth, if ICE officers start moving towards you, start asking questions, just remain silent, but then you can ask, officer, am I free to leave? All right, and they need to answer that question. Like, no, you need to answer some questions. Or, yes, you're free to leave. If you're free to leave, then leave calmly. All right? That's it. All right? That's it. That's what you got to know. And, my best advice is, hey, discuss these things. Like if you're worried about immigration enforcement, for example, at your job, then discuss these things with your employer. Have a game plan in place. Okay? And similarly, if you're worried about this at your place of worship or at some other like local venue or something like that, talk it through. Make sure you have a game plan. Make sure that people that are, possibly affected there are aware of their rights, and have a game plan in place. And it's so important. It's so important. So that's what I wanted to share today. If you personally are nervous about immigration enforcement, right, then talk to a lawyer. Okay, let's see what options are available. Could be, asylum or U visas, T visas, VAWA, cancellation, parole in place, adjustments of status, consular processing, other options. It's like, let's create a game plan. What would you do? What would you file if you were ever put into immigration court proceedings? What would you do? What would you file if immigration did show up? Like, let's create the game plan, right? Let's create the game plan. And so, yeah, anyway, I wanted to share that. That's really it. Let me know what questions you have, and thank you so much for tuning in, everybody who's tuning in right now. My name's Otis Landerholm, and I'm a certified specialist in immigration law. Been practicing immigration law since 2011, right? So it's 14 years now. We had our anniversary, I guess, yesterday. We actually opened doors while I was moving in, and we signed a lease starting January 1st of 2011 in a little teeny tiny office in the Mission District of San Francisco. And now we're in the East Bay, and so we're in Oakland, California is where our office is. But man, yeah, 14 years, and we've seen a lot in these years, and we've helped a lot of people. We've now won over 1,000 cases, which I'm very proud of, very happy of, and I love our clients. And yeah, anyway, I love my job. I love my job. I hope you love your job too. I really do. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Send me whatever questions you have. Let's see, Mike Johnson, I see you here. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year to you. I appreciate you. Lamara, I see you here. Thank you. You say, can the BIA still uphold the judge's removal decision when the government did not file a responding brief? Thank you. That's a great question, Lamara. Thank you very much. The answer is yes, they can. Yes, they can. And sometimes the government will do that. They'll just be like, yeah, we're not going to even put the effort in to respond on such and such an appeal, and take that as an opportunity to really brief your position, all right? Because if the immigration panel at the Board of Immigration Appeals, the BIA, if they're reviewing the case and they see that you're really pushing to win your case on appeal, and if they see that the government isn't even writing a brief, then that works in your favor. All right, that works in your favor. It does not guarantee that your case will be approved, but it does work in your favor. And so, so I hope that answers that question. And then user 885, I see you here. Thank you for your question. You say, I got my I-601 approved, but my daughter is going into the military. Do I keep going with the I-601, or do I file parole in place? Well, that's a great question, and that depends on a few different things, All right, that depends on a few different things. My first question is it an I-601 or is it an I-601A? Because an I-601A assumes that you will be doing consular processing, and it assumes that the only inadmissibility ground is quote unquote unlawful presence. And so if that's, I mean, if you're eligible now to adjust status through your daughter's going in the military and getting parole in place, if I were you, and if you were my friend and family member and somebody that, if I were like really just looking at that situation, I don't know anything else about your legal background or the situation in your case. But if I'm just looking at that, I would say forget consular processing, file this as an adjustment of status. It's going to be a better process for you. Get parole in place through your daughter in the military and file this as an adjustment of status. If you still need an I-601 with your adjustment, file it with your adjustment. That's what I would do because the benefits that come with filing a case as an adjustment of status are enormous. All right? You get more protections. You get a work authorization document while your case is pending. You can apply for a travel document while your case is pending. You can have an attorney go with you to your interview if it's an adjustment of status. If you're denied an adjustment of status, you can appeal that denial both in front of USCIS or, if necessary, in immigration court. Like, you have so many more substantive rights when you do a case as an adjustment. It's like you got to do it, right? You got to do it if you're eligible for it. It's so much better. That's my opinion. Okay, and that would be my advice. If, there are some situations where you might say, oh, forget about it, let's just do the consular case. When, for example, if you have a squeaky clean consular case and your interview's next week, all right? Like, if that's the situation, okay, forget filing an adjustment where it's going to take 2 to 3 more years of a process and fees and other stuff. If you're already at the last stage, last step, and you're good to go, well, then, okay, maybe that would change the analysis. Okay? But anyway, user 885-0666-194812. Like, thank you for being here, and I hope that question was answered. T, I see you here. Thank you for your informative videos. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. Maria, you say hello. How long to approve my I-485? My son's the petitioner. Let's see. I have an I-245I that's pending. That was submitted June 30th of 2023. So it's coming up on like a year and a half. Okay. So how long to approve it? That's a good question. Adjustments, typically I say 24 months-ish. It depends on which field office you're at. It's a 245I case, so that, anyway, I've seen it's common that 245I cases can take a little bit longer because there's a little bit more analysis that needs to be done there. But yeah, hopefully your case is well underway. Hopefully everything's looking good, and hopefully it'll get approved here in the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Okay, 2-year total process time. That's sort of common these days. We're going to see what happens under the Trump administration and whether or not processing times slow way down again, like they did under the first Trump administration. That will affect things. We're going to see, right? Cool, you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. I'm going to do the same episode in Spanish in just a few minutes, so if you want to join me in Spanish, please do so. In the meantime, hey, make it a great day. Thank you all so much for being here. I do want to share a couple of things here. So first of all, if you are a client of our firm, we're going to be hosting a New Year, New You workshop for our clients this afternoon at 3 p.m. All right, and we'll send out information about it. You should have gotten emails and text messages about it. So if you are currently a client of my law firm, you're invited to attend. I'm going to walk people through a goal setting process that I like to walk myself through, and we'll do that together later today. All right? There's no reason why we can't make this year the best year of our lives. All right? We just got to take ownership and take actions, take steps to actually create the future that we want to create for ourselves. And we can do that regardless of our immigration status. All right? We just got to create clarity. All right? Create clarity for ourselves. So, my empowerment tip today, which I always like to give an empowerment tip. It's a new year, folks. And so this 2025, it's like, man, you can make a new decision right now that can change the direction of your life. And you can do it today. All right? And if that means calling an immigration lawyer and really reviewing your immigration situation with a lawyer, then hey, my office is here to help. We'd love to help. But if it means something else, like every human's different, and we're all starting from a different starting point as of today's date. And so it's like, every person's different. What new decision do you want to make? What new action do you want to implement to create the life you want? Because you can do that today. I really encourage you to do it. Okay? That's all I got for you, folks, today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Thank you. Happy New Year to each of you. And we'll see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks so much, everybody. Make it a great day. Take care.